Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about informational interviewing and why it's important and how you can use this tool and tactic to expand your network and conduct occupational/career research. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to my colleagues, Bailey and Jackie, to take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bailey Bracken. I'm a career advisor for the School of Business and School of Education.
Hey everyone, my name is Jacqueline Pope, but I go by Jackie, and I am the career advisor for the School of Human Services and the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences.
And today we're going to go over what exactly is informational interviewing. You probably hear this phrase a lot, and today we're going to break it down for y'all so that way you know what exactly it is. So let's start off with defining informational interviewing. An informational interview is meeting to learn about a real life experience of someone working in a field or company that interests you. It's not a job interview, so it's not as serious as it should be, but you should still take it seriously. So it's important to keep focused on getting information and not so much the job offer. It's more focused on building that connection and working on your networking.
Now, like Bailey mentioned, when you go into information interviewing, you're switching your hat. When we hear interviewing, we automatically think, try to get the job, sell myself. But in this case, I want you to take the idea of, I am trying to take advantage of all the information they can tell me, their education, their certifications. Basically, this is how you take advantage. You gain practical information. A lot of you all hear us all the time. We talk about our experiences. You've had people with multiple different experiences. So informational interviewing allows you to get practical insight, like what did they actually do to get where they are. They also can provide you some answers to help you make decisions. So a lot of times, let's be honest, we look on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, our family, friends, and we begin to build this story or narrative about whatever that career is. So the advantage of an informational interview is someone on the outside, someone that you may not know closely, but can give you valuable information. It also helps you start understanding the field or industry you're in. Because, example, I have a lot of students tell me, I'm interested in this, Jackie, this is where I want to work. And 9 times out of 10 is based on what they've seen, not necessarily knowing someone in the actual field and understanding what their industry is. Because it's one thing to know the education needed for industry, but it's another thing understanding industry. Understanding industry, that means that you're going to get advantage of what salary expectations is like. What is the work life? What are real skills you need to build? Is your degree just another kind of add on, or really do you need certain certifications with the degree? It also helps you get a referral in that industry. Because it's one thing to say, hey, Jackie, can you write me a recommendation letter? Hey, Bailey, write me a recommendation letter. Or, hey, Bailey or Jackie, do you know some job opportunities? Whereas if you're doing these informational interviewing, 1, they know you're taking your field seriously. 2, you now have someone in the door in companies that you can reach out to ever so often, maybe quarterly or twice a year, where you say, hey, just kind of checking in. How are you? I just want to know if you know any opportunities in this field. I'll really be excited to get my start. That is why information. So the advantage, 1, is understanding it's not an interview. You're not trying to get a job. The advantage is that you gain insight, that you understand what your industry is, that you can actually ask someone doing it currently versus what you perceive or even what you've read about. And also you then have a foot in the door in that industry where then you can make that connection. So just like everyone asks us, what's the most recent jobs? Do you have any job postings? They will also be able to tell you if a company or their company may be hiring.
So now we're going to go over how to prepare for an informational interview. We're going to walk you through the basic steps. And so the first one is we need to figure out who we're going to contact. So we're going to contact the interviewee. So you need an idea of what kind of information you're looking for, thinking about maybe what company you would like to work for or what job title, or if you have multiple different job titles you're looking at, maybe set up an interview with different types of people or what you're most interested in. So kind of narrow down what type of information you're looking for from this interviewer. You also have to decide who would you like to meet with. We kind of talked about that. Think about what company, job title. And so that way you kind of get a better understanding when you walk into this interview, you know what information you're going to go for and what questions you want to ask. And then also you make sure you reach out to them by phone, email. I don't think anyone uses letters to arrange these meetings anymore, but letters could definitely be an option, or in person now that things are kind of opening back up. You might actually be able to meet them in their office and see and get a tour of what a day-to-day looks like in their schedule and how an office runs. So that could be very informational, but making sure they're at their comfort level, because now people also might like Zoom or Microsoft Teams a little bit more. So you definitely have those outlets as well. Those probably provide more flexible schedules. So making sure you reach out to them and see what their preferred method of contact is. And also LinkedIn is a great way to message people too, which we'll give examples of those later on. But when you ask for this informational interview, you're asking a busy professional to share their valuable time with you. So making sure you take gratitude with that. Be sure to express how appreciative you are for them like agreeing to meet with you. They're taking time out of their day to give you insight on their field and what their job title is and why they love their company and their personal professional journey. So making sure that you have your questions planned out and you feel prepared to talk to them. And usually these meetings are not that long, probably 15 to 30 minutes. So making sure you have what kind of information like you want prioritized, and you're taking advantage of their full time without being to taking of their time. And this is just an example of a message. So it says like, dear Tony Smith, I'm a recent graduate of law school. I have a background in finance. I came across your LinkedIn profile while researching attorneys in the Boston area who practice corporate law. I see you've practiced for several years and would love to ask you a few questions about your career path, how you got to where you are today. Would you have time for a quick 20-minute informational interview via phone in the next few weeks? Thank you for considering my request. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, your name. And of course, you can adjust this to your field, what you're looking for. But this is just a great kind of a standard message that you can apply to what you're doing. And if you don't know those people on LinkedIn and you see their profile and you see they have the same background as you, they have the same interests, this is a great message to kind of take and sculpt it to that message that person you want to reach out to on LinkedIn. And here's another example, a little bit shorter one. I wanted to give y'all two different ones in case y'all also wanted to email as well. It says, Mrs. Smith, Brad Johnson suggested I speak with you in case someone knew someone you can arrange to and talk to. My name is blank and I'm interested in this blank field. I could use advice from someone who is in this field. Do you have time the next 2 weeks for a 20-minute meeting? I would really like to learn more about your company and the field from someone like you. These are both great examples you can use to set up the informational interview.
And so, like Bailey said, first we have to narrow it down. So most of you all may have an idea of what you want to do. This is where we would encourage you that you meet with us before you start reaching out to individuals to conduct informational interviews. One, so that you'll understand that, okay, this is the field I'm looking at. These are the job titles in that field. So that, again, they're busy professionals. You don't want to call someone saying, well, help me figure out my life. Because that's not what an informational interview is. It literally contacting them because you understand why. So first one, understand you why you're interviewing, who, and then conduct a detailed research. Now this is where most people like to skip over, but this is where you're going to get most of your valuable information. So one, you want to understand what companies they've worked for, what industry. People have career transitions. So maybe you're contacting them about a prior experience versus their current experience. So you want to make sure that you're taking the time to understand what field they're in. Example, like Bailey said, if you have multiple job titles, make sure that you understand I'm interviewing John because John's background is in law and my focus in the future is law. But I'm interviewing Sarah because Sarah currently works in business as a business analyst. So I know that I do want to work with business currently right out of school, but I know in the future I may want to work as a lawyer or attorney. So that's where you have to kind of make sure that you're putting the connections with the possible job titles in the focus. Make sure that you find out their job title and responsibilities. Now, each company is different. Sometimes you can't find this information, but you don't want to call and say, hey, what do you do for a living? Look at the job title, research the job title. The job title said a coordinator for outreach services. Look up the company they work for. What does outreach services look like? Again, they're giving their time to help you understand and narrow your career decisions. So it's not coming in, tell me everything about you. It's you coming in, connecting the pieces that you're most interested in, putting real life with what maybe you're interested in doing in the future. Make sure that you research the company's impacts on the industry, because a lot of the time, especially I'll use for anybody interested in IT, maybe this company has a software that helps mainstream different social media channels. Well, you want to understand, what does the impact look like? Okay, if I'm in these type of roles, what software, what was their background? Did they have certifications? Maybe when you're looking up people, they have all these little acronyms. Ask them what those acronyms are. Look up what those acronyms could be. Because again, this is you taking time to kind of pinpoint your career. Career is not about, oh, if you just give me that shot, I'll make it. No, it's about planning. It's about being intentional. It's about connecting. And also the kind of information in advance that will help you equipped to ask detailed questions. Now, this is the issue. Most people say, well, what do you do for a living? They're going to tell you. What kind of education did you get? They'll tell you. But if you could say, I noticed that you chose to work in these two companies and they're kind of different. Could you tell me about what made you choose to go more into this area versus this area? Ask questions that give you more confidence because the whole point is the more informational interviews you do, the more confident you're going to be in those career decisions. Online, reading ONET, everybody knows I love skills pay the bills, but ONET and occupational handbook are so general that it can still leave you with a lot of unanswered questions. You can come and ask me all day, but my field has predominantly been mental health and higher ed. So a lot of my focus is going to be in these areas. So if you're looking into business, maybe I can give you some insight, but it's nothing like being able to talk to someone directly in those seats. So that's why the more you're detailed in your research ahead of time, the more that this will be, again, taking advantage of an informational interview.
So number 3 would be make a list of questions. It's important to have a plan for how this interview will progress. You want to make sure you cover all your information. You want to make sure there's not that awkward silence, and you want to take advantage of their time. One method is to write out the list of questions you want to ask. Maybe I know if you get on Google, you can Google interview like informational questions, and a lot will pop up. So you probably need to go through and kind of see what questions hit the information you want to know and making sure it hits your time mark. So kind of like go through and making sure your questions are relevant to what you want to know. And questions should solely focus on the interviewee. Like people love to talk about themselves, so let them. It's about their work experience, what they enjoy about their job, and maybe even talk about like, hey, what advice would you give for a new graduate or someone in my position or someone looking to enter this field? Think about what advice you might want to hear that kind of might open some doors or new perspectives. And your questions should offer opportunities for the interviewee to share their insight in the industry. Like Jackie said, they know this company, they maybe only chose to work at certain companies, so ask them why. They have great insight, and maybe you'll learn about their values and missions, and maybe it'll align with yours. But if not, you still gain that insight, and maybe you'll know what to look for in another company. So making sure you ask them to gain their insight and their professional expertise. And this is a list of like example questions. We'll kind of go through some of them. I'm not going to read all of them. There's a lot. And if you get on Google, and we have documents too to help you ask these questions, there's a lot. So making sure you go through, these are just some general ones. Like a good question always I like to ask is like, what do you like most or least about your career? What are current jobs prospects like right now? What makes a resume impressive in your field? What are employers looking for in this career? Skills, education, experience. Maybe they can help break that down for you so that way when it's the time to apply for jobs, you'll know what exactly to put on your resume. And once again, you gain that insight. What would you recommend I do at this point to get in this field? Like I said, that's more advice related, but that's still good information. And what's the like corporate culture like here? If you want to know more about that company, that's a great way to give an insight of what a company day to day looks like. Because if they pause on that question, that is not a good sign, y'all. So making sure you ask questions about that company and what it's like to work there, and maybe describe how that work environment is, that can be very insightful. And what is maybe like, how do you normally hire for this occupation right now? Because occupations or hiring has taken a little bit of a detour during this pandemic. So things are not always a standard interview process anymore. So you can ask that to gain more insight of how their hiring process is. And Arthur sent a link in the chat for more questions if you would like, but these are just a few to kind of get your head in the right thinking space, and you can kind of see what they look like.
And another big thing, you all, is practicing in advance. Now, nerves are, real and genuine, but when you want to think about this, it's about someone wanting to tell you about their life. They're wanting to tell you how you can further yourself. So make sure that you practice in advance. That's why scheduling an appointment is important. Say, hey, Jackie, hey, Bailey, I'm gonna plan an information interview. I just want to go through the questions and make sure I'm asking questions and maybe also getting those initial nerves like out. Practice in front of a mirror. That's a big thing for me. Let's be honest, it's awkward when you're talking to someone you've never talked to before. So why not practice already in a mirror or on the phone or again with us through Zoom or through MS Teams so that you're getting comfortable. The more comfortable you are with the whatever form of communication you choose, the more likely this information interview will be successful. And also make sure that it's not technically an hour long interview. You want to keep it in the idea that it's only going to be about 15 to 30 minutes. So although there's a long list, I want you to make a note. You only have about 5 to 6 questions, no more than 5 or 6 questions. And that's why going back to our second step, which was do your research, understand what you're really asking this person for, because you can interview millions of people. I don't think anybody gets a million, but say that you can interview up to 10, 20 people, and you can ask each one of them different questions. But when you talk about an informational interview, limit yourself to 6 because you need to ask the 6 questions that give you the most insight about what their career path has been. And you find someone else who may have a slightly different approach to the same industry, and you can ask them different questions. So this is where you want to make sure that your understanding is only 15 to 30 minutes. So you don't want to have, because I know some people print out a list of questions, keep going down. No, because again, they don't want to be like a drill. They want to be conversational. So again, asking about, if today maybe your ending question is, what would you recommend I do today to be prepared for this industry? Maybe, and keep in mind, you can have always an opening question and an ending question. But this comes with practice. But again, utilize us, utilize friends, utilize mentors to practice what you're asking so we can help clarify. Because if you were saying a question, I'm like, well, tell me more about why you want to ask this question, and we can provide more clarity. So again, make sure you're doing some type of practicing in advance.
Number 5 would also be dress appropriately. This is not a job interview, but you should dress the same way as you would for a job interview. You're still a professional trying to figure out this field, so you want to put your best foot forward. And your goal is to present yourself as a qualified professional. So making sure that you wear your professional dresses, skirts, pants, whatever it may be, blazers. We want to look professional, and we want to make sure like we're taking our time seriously. So that way we appreciate everyone's time. So just keep it simple and dress professional.
And so, again, how to get the most out of an information interview. Again, it's an informational interview. So the biggest win of this interview is the information you gain. It is literally in the title. 1, be professional. So that means that you're going to do greetings. You're going to limit like our slang usage or how we address individuals. You also want to make sure that it's your behavior. So like say for instance, we're at home, we can be relaxed. No one's saying you can't be relaxed. But again, this is where you want to make sure it's not a disturbed space, that you have the time, that they can hear you, that you're not chewing gum or you're not distracted in other ways. So make sure that you're professional. Be courteous and appreciative. And the reason I say this, every industry is different. An example, if I decided to reach out to a teacher right now, this is kind of like their downtime. So they may be open to 20 minutes, but their schedules may be crazy. They may be on vacation but still willing to talk. Same thing if you had someone in the medical field that you were talking to, maybe their day had got super hectic. And so that's where you want to take time to make sure that you're being courteous and appreciative of their time. So if something needs to reschedule, be open to it. If basically they say, I'm sorry, I only have 20 minutes, it's not them being rude. Just be appreciative of the time you have and be very courteous. Also, get through the introductory phase as quickly as possible. So the reason why is because, yes, we're nervous, but we also have a goal. So make sure you introduce yourself. Always state your name. Always state, maybe because we're in school, so state school or state company. Let them know enough about you. Hi, my name is Jacqueline Pope. I'm a career advisor at UNT Dallas, and I'm really interested in connecting with you a little further. I saw that you have a lot of interest in higher ed, that you've been in higher ed for 20 years working in career. I just really wanted to ask, what are some changes you've seen over those decades? You see where I introduced myself, but I kind of got to the point. So again, your name, For most of you, maybe your degree, maybe some of your work experience, and then you jump right into acknowledging what their area is. Because what we're wanting to do, it doesn't need to be you talking. We want them to talk because again, it's an informational interview and you already know about you, but you don't know about them. So we want to make sure that we're keeping as much about them and we're gaining as much information as possible.
Also, make sure you send them a thank you. Like we talked about earlier, they're a busy professional. So making sure you follow through with that effort and use a business format to write your email or your LinkedIn. Once again, we're professionals, so we want to show our skills. And make sure you show your appreciation in the first few sentences. You want to show your gratitude and for them taking out their time. And once again, restate your interest and your specific topic so that way they know what exactly, kind of refresher what you talked about, what you were looking for. And maybe provide your contact details if you're sending an email or if you're LinkedIn, making sure you follow up with a connection. So that way it adds to your network and it builds for future communication because maybe that later that company will post a job you're interested or they'll know someone. So they'll think of you and they'll send the job description to you. So making sure you provide, like leave that door open for the future. And this is just an example of thank you. I'm probably not going to read all of it. This one's pretty lengthy, but I'll read the first couple sentences so y'all understand what exactly it's supposed to start off as. It says, "Dear Mrs. Fredrickson, I'm sending this email to express my gratitude and utmost appreciation for you taking the time to meet with me today. I appreciate your patience, eagerness to answer my questions and provide additional information about your company and how your staff approaches new clients. I especially appreciate you giving me the resources necessary to obtain my contractor's license." So once again, this person showed their gratitude, kind of talked about what they went over and what skills they were looking for and what information they needed to know, kind of as a refresher. As you can see at the bottom, they left their phone number and email so that way they could follow up and leave that door of communication open. But that is it for us. And Arthur sent a template as well for a thank you note because also it can be much shorter if you're doing it on LinkedIn. It could probably do that first paragraph and just say thank you and then follow up with a connection. But that was just an example. And there's definitely more out there if you kind of get writer's block sometimes. Just kind of being aware of what you need to put. Sometimes templates are not always the best resource, but as long as you have that knowledge to make the decision and it fits your format and what you want to cover and you make it your own, you can do that. But here's all of our socials and emails if y'all have any other questions. And we'll hang around here for a second.
And our survey is in the comments as well. So make sure you take their survey. Also, we already have resources that prepare you, one, for interviews, and then two, for job opportunities. So we already have Optimal Resume. This is where you create resumes. Also, you may need to have your resume ready. This is something that when you start job searching and gathering information, have your CV if you're going into research, maybe you're going into the world of academia, or have your resume ready. Because if you are talking to someone, they may say, you know what, I like your personality. Send me your resume real quick because I think that you should connect with someone else. So make sure their resume. So the link that Arthur sent is Optimal Resume. It has thank you notes in there, like for you to like templates. It has cover letter templates. It also has resume templates and opportunities for you to practice interviewing questions. So it's not necessarily in just informational interviewing, but just interviewing. And you can record yourself and get some feedback. So again, this is important. This is a part of your work you put forward. Also cover letters. So sometimes maybe when you're sending out these emails, create a cover letter, an informational interview and cover letter, where it's your kind of template for an industry where you're tagging people's names. You know, you basically plug in so you can create your own informational interview and cover letter. So that's what you can send out attached to emails, or if you have an opportunity on LinkedIn, you can copy and paste information. So again, make sure that you check out our entire resource page. We are intentional, y'all. Our page is not heavily front loaded. We want to make sure that everything that you look on that page is helping you. We have it broke down by categories. But other than that, don't be scared of informational interviewing. I know some people say, well, I'm nervous. I don't like to meet new people. This is true. But we all like employment and we all like to make money. And I have to say it as honest as that is because when we go to interviews, we don't know people when we're interviewing, but we know we want to apply our skills. We know we want to make an impact. So the same way you will go into an interview being nervous, but yet also optimistic, take that same energy. They're not here to criticize you or judge you. Actually, they just want to share information about what they've chose to dedicate their lives to. And also don't get mad if, I'm not going to say rejection, but if people do not respond, that is okay. All professionals have their own busy schedules. This is why it's important for you to keep searching who is available. So again, don't say, well, that person was rude. Some may not necessarily mesh well sometimes with our personalities. They may have their own personalities, their own level of professionalism. So again, let's take it more on whoever is available to meet with you and answer questions. We want to put more energy there versus maybe if you come across those who don't respond or who say no. And if they say no, it just means that they may not have the time or they may not just be what they do. So again, it's not an attack on you, just maybe more of how they perceive professionalism and what they would want to do. Because I know I've had some students like, I don't want to be rejected. So it's not rejection. We're just going to look for who's ready to talk. And if they're talking, we're gathering information. And Arthur, is there any questions from Facebook or any of our social media chats? Any questions here? Anybody have questions?
Nope. I am monitoring our Facebook page, and as of right now, we have none. But we do have one in the comment section, and they ask, who can I contact about making a LinkedIn profile?
It'll be either me or Bailey. So if your major falls under business or education, you'll be Bailey. If your major falls under liberal arts and sciences or human services, it will be me. And guess what? Handshake already has it covered for you. Create your Handshake account, UNT Dallas email address, your classification, and your major. The system will automatically default you to to whoever your career advisor is. You'll see our schedule. We have an appointment type that says LinkedIn review. So your first step is just create a LinkedIn, add a picture, put some contact information. And what you do is you'll select that appointment type. What we'll do is we'll go through with you. We'll help you spruce it up. We'll tell you some areas you can fix on it, but it'll be us. So you don't have to go out searching and be nervous about it. There's a lot of resources on YouTube as well that show you how to, hype up your LinkedIn. But me or Bailey, depending on your major, Lewis would be more than excited to help you get your LinkedIn together.
And I just sent a LinkedIn checklist for you in the chat so you can save it to your computer. That way you can kind of go ahead and start like the backbones of your LinkedIn, and then you can make an appointment with us and be like, okay, I kind of follow the checklist. This is what I've started. Now, how can I take it to the next level? That's what me and Jackie are here for.
Any other questions? You're welcome.
Great question.
LinkedIn is a great key for informational interviewing. So definitely look into that if you do not have a LinkedIn.
And also, if you're just still confused, this is really, and this even our friends and social media, if this is just like, I get the idea, but I will need to talk further, just schedule an appointment with us. We'll go through a little bit further about information interview, help you understand your industry, who maybe you need to contact. So again, this isn't like get out there, good luck. We're basically just touching the surface so that you understand that this is another way to not only network, but also begin to make those connections. So no stressing. All of you have access to our Handshake. So just schedule an appointment. You could choose career planning and say ASAP, SOS, information interviewing. I'm still lost. Yes, we can. We're building a resume. Now, this is why I tell a lot of people, you have to understand what you're building a resume for. That is the one thing. So we can create resume templates. The only part we need you to do is come in is understanding where you possibly want to go. And what we do is we narrow it down. But yes, we help build resumes. Optimal Resume is a great starter. If you do not have a resume at all, they already have some templates. It does not need to be perfect. If it is, we wouldn't have a job. So again, we don't need perfect resumes. We just need y'all to have something on paper. And what we'll do is we'll come in and we will champion it together. So yes, we're excited to meet with you. Believe me, resumes, cover letter, graduate school, what certifications, skills, what's marketable, job search, you name it. If you go on Handshake, you'll see so many appointments. I know people don't like to read, but we got a lot of appointment types for a reason. And if you ever just get to the point where you're like, I'm lost, just choose career planning and we'll help you navigate it from there.
Me and Arthur just uploaded the same document. So
At
there's
the same
also a
time.
resume checklist for y'all.
2 times.
Yep. Same document though. So as long as y'all download one of those, that's also kind of like a little checklist. You can use different sections and then make your appointment with me and Jackie to make sure we customize it to you and we represent your brand.
Mm-hmm. Also to know if there are resources available where you can also create a resume on Optimal Resume, where there's templates on there and you can also use it to build a resume. Big Interview is another platform that you can utilize to build a resume. And Vault, one of the resources that we have on our website, has specific advice for creating resumes for a particular career and/or industry. So you can get tips on that. And then finally, I would like to promote our YouTube channel because we have several workshops that we posted in the past on this very topic where you can go and watch and hear about tips and tricks that will help you enhance and/or improve your current resume. So as you can see, we have comprehensive resources on demand, whether it's with us or without us, because we want to make sure we're a 365, 24/7 service at your disposal, whether with us or without us. And you're very welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank y'all for joining in.
Yes.
Oh, and guess what? We have 2 more sessions, or should I say 2 more workshops, well, not for the summer, but for the month left. And I know the first one is on, let me make sure I get the title correct, Strategies for Choosing a Major. So if you're having angst or thinking about something else as it relates to a major, we're here to help, and we will help you with that on July 4th, same time, same channel. And also too, we have evaluating job offers and reasons for negotiating, and that will take place on July 21st. So for those of you who are coming up for an opportunity and have weighing some options, we're here to help with that as well.
And also understand in advance. A lot of the times, the more you know in advance, the easier it is when those times come, so you're not so nervous. So again, we also want to be proactive. The summertime is now it depends on some of you, but most of us, it's a slower time. So this is where we say gather all the information so that during the year you're hitting the ground running. You're prepared, you know what to be looking for. If you have further questions, you have time to ask those further questions. So that's why. So I know some people are like, well, I haven't even got a job yet. I barely even got a resume. Doesn't mean you shouldn't attend. The whole point is the more you know ahead of time, the more intentional your conversations can be with us. And also you just be aware. That's the whole point. The more aware we make you, the easier it is when those times come. So it won't be so nerve-wracking because the process already brings its own set of nerves. So the whole goal is that the more proactive we are, the more that we know how to react and when we're presented with these opportunities.
Absolutely. Are there any more questions from the audience? And I've just added into the chat our summer workshop series flyer so you can know what else is coming up for the remainder of the summer. However, stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on our various social media platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing one, YouTube.
There it is. Okay.
Because I know it's 6. So you just know that we're here for you.
And if you don't have questions, don't hesitate to send us an email or just schedule an appointment because you may right now just be jogging your memory. So know that we're here via email, via handshake. We appreciate your time. So I see it's 12:36. So we try to keep it within the time frame. The email that Arthur just put there, you can just send an email there about questions. And we're usually try to get responsive. So thank you. Take the survey if you have it. And we look forward to helping you all more in the future.
Right. Have a good one, you guys.